Well, everyone, it's that time again. I'm joined by Paul. Paul, thanks for coming in. We're going to have a look at the upcoming PDC World Cup. Now the pairs are out and the seedings are released. First of all, Paul, you've played in the World Cup. Great memories?
Yes and no. Obviously, everything is dominated by the fact that we should have won it a few years ago. I had a couple of shots to win the tournament. Most nerve-wracking darts in my life I'll add. And Simon having shots as well. It was heartbreaking. It took its toll for about 5 or 6 months afterwards. I've never really been the same since that defeat, but the memories of the battles with Belgium, the battle with England, some of the battles with Wales, some of the greatest memories I've got of my career. What a great tournament it is.
All change as well. We've got some new pairings. It's freshened up a little bit this time around, so it's interesting to see how those pairs react.
Yeah, very much so. I think a lot of people are asking, will England perform? Obviously, Rob Cross being the captain now, being the top seed in his team with Dave Chisnell now, because Michael Smith just came up a little bit short. Been interesting to see their chemistry, the chemistry of the Scottish guys, to see whether they can gel this year. But the Dutch have got to be the bookies' favourites for me because of the fact that Raymond van Barneveld and Van Gerwen have dominated over the last few years, and you've got to say that they're going to be the ones to watch out for. Interesting
you say that. They're only seeded 3 because of the way the PDC ranking is, but they'll be probably odds-on favourites with the bookies.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to think about chemistry and the way that they performed in previous seasons, the way that they played last year. Who's going to stop them? It's going to take some sort of titanic performance and a great few days from a team to really stop them.
Again, one team that's all changed as well is the Belgian pair. Before we've had the Hybrets brothers, the chemistry there has been absolutely unbelievable. But now we've got Dimitri in with Kim. So personally, I think that makes that pair stronger.
I might have to disagree with you a little bit there. I think sometimes Dimitri has come out and said that he looks at Kim Huybrechts as his idol, and he does get a little bit edgy with him. Be interesting to see how he gels with him in a pairs environment. In a pairs environment with the Huybrechts brothers, it was never a problem.
Yeah.
And sometimes Kim would drag Ronnie into it, and then Ronnie would drag Kim into it, and they would gel like probably nobody ever has in World Cup darts. So I think there may be some sort of tentative nature about them at the start of the tournament, but if they do gel, they will be very dangerous. But Dimitri's form has been a little bit up and down this season. Kim's has improved, which is very good to see. Maybe this is the catalyst for both of them to have a really good 2018.
Again, Kim played really well at the Euro Tour, which is again a huge boost for him going into the World Cup.
It is, because what has gone before was not confidence building at all. Kim's ability has never been in question. He's actually talked in winning interviews about his own mentality, his own confidence, and I don't think it's been there for quite some time. So to make that semi-final will have helped it, but it didn't help that he didn't make the final. He would have loved to have a crack at Michael in the final. He didn't get there, but he's got to make those steps to get back to where he was 2 or 3 years ago. But the World Cup always seems to bring something out of Kim, whether it's a good or a bad thing. I'll say from my own personal volition, but hopefully he plays well with Dimitri because they're a great pair.
Again, the Welsh pair have always done well in previous World Cups, and again, it's all changed for them as well with the rise of Johnny Clayton.
It's good that there's some experience in the World Cup team with Gezi. Obviously, he did very well with Mark getting to the final last year for Wales. Johnny Clayton, I know, is very proud to be Welsh, and he will love the fact that it's an all-South Walian team. But I'm gutted for Webby. He's not only one of my closest friends, but he's one of the best performing players in the World Cup's history. He's been there since the beginning. There aren't many ever-presents left. And it's sad for Mark not to be in the team, but I know that deep down he'll want to get back there. But Wales, watch out for them. They could be very dangerous.
Again, round one's always interesting because it's only a pairs format, so we just don't know. With Scotland last year, the prime example of this.
Absolutely right, because as far as pairs competitions go, we don't have any. We don't. We have a couple of group stage things a year, obviously with the Premier League and the Grand Slam, but pairs, this is it. If you don't have previous experience of playing pairs, you may find yourself getting unstuck. One of the reasons why Simon Whitlock is such a good pairs player is because he played a lot of pairs competitions in Australia, as did Kyle. Now, again, there are some gelling issues with those guys. I feel they didn't gel last year, but they can because they've got the experience of playing pairs. And if you can't play pairs, you're going to come unstuck very fast.
I suppose with the seeded guys as well and the top pros, they just want to get through round one so they get to play singles. So the pairs element is then gone, fingers crossed for them.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's the right mentality to have going into it. I think you've got to embrace the pairs format and in practice get used to being away from the hockey for an extra 2 or 3 turns. If you can get used to that, that'll make you a much better World Cup player. But when you get to the single stages, it is all changed. Trust me, I've been there. It's almost strange being at that point because you get so used to playing pairs in the early stages. Then you've got to play singles and pairs. It's a totally different format, and that's what makes it so intriguing.
From your own preparation, when you represented Australia, did you practice pairs in the build-up to the World Cup?
No. Simon and I talked about getting together and practicing together. We never did. But we really didn't need to. There was just so much chemistry between the two of us. It was all about when you get to the arena 3 or 4 hours beforehand, you just pump up that passion for what you want to do. I remember my last representation at the iSport Halle in Frankfurt with Simon, and I just got this feeling that it was my last chance to actually do something. And the preparation we had in doing doubles and doing stuff together in the 3 or 4 hours beforehand made all the difference. You don't go off in different directions and practice on your own. It's just not what you do. You practice with your teammate and you stick with him through thick and thin through the 3 or 4 hours beforehand and when you're on the stage. And if you can do that and have that chemistry, that will make you a great team.
Well, we've touched on the top seeds. Now let's have a look at the floaters, as we call them. And there's some dangerous pairings that not many people might know about.
Yeah.
For me, the Polish team jumps out that could cause serious damage in this World Cup.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think Ratajski obviously is a big threat, the World Masters champion, but Titus Karnik, a lot of people don't know a great deal about this mountain of a bloke. And he's not just physically imposing, but he's got an aura about him of just quiet confidence. And for Ratajski to have someone with ability, we saw Karnik come through European Q School and win his day. He's obviously got ability on the board. I've seen him on the European tours as well. He's very, very good. So when Ratajski has that kind of backup, that makes them very dangerous. And if Ratajski turns up and Karnik backs him up, you don't want to play those guys.
Agreed. The Irish pair, for me, is an interesting one as well, because on his day, Willie O'Connor can be destructive, as we've seen over the years. But the new boy, Steve Lennon, has jumped onto the scene from nowhere at the weekend, getting to a Euro Tour final. So I think they could be a massive danger as well.
Yeah, the Irish have always been really hard to beat. I mean, the first couple of years that we played the World Cup, we always seemed to get the Irish. It was always a tough game against Willie O'Connor and Mick McGowan. Obviously, Steve Lennon has come into his own the last couple of years, really, from being a really good youth player, coming through to the senior ranks now and doing great stuff. Willie O'Connor is a great dart player, and when he turns up, he's as good as most players on the tour, especially now that he's identified some issues with his action and he's become a more consistent thrower, I feel. Steve Lennon, if he gets a little bit nervous, he could be like a cat in headlights. I don't think we should get too carried away with Steve right now. I think he's making really good baby steps. And I think in about 5 years, he will be insanely good. But the steps he's making right now could be really good for the Irish team. And if Willie O'Connor and Steve can get something going, then they could be a bit of a thorn on the side to somebody. I don't see them as the major floating threat, but they are a threat.
Anyone else really catch your eye from the floating pairs?
Germany. Look at Germany. I mean, Schindler hasn't really shown any form, apart from one run on a Pro Tour where he played exquisitely. And Max Hopp, of course, there's not much you can't say about Max this year. He's had good progress, won a Euro Tour. This is their yard. We know what the atmosphere is going to be like, and you don't want to play them in their backyard because you're going to get whistled at, you're going to get booed at, you're not going to get anything thrown at you, hopefully. But that is the nightmare tie. So wouldn't it be great to see England versus Germany? In Germany. We want atmospheres like that. The World Cup is all about atmosphere, and Germany are going to get the best of the crowd.
Again, you've touched on it there, because again, going back to Cross and Chisnell, they've never played together before, about chemistry, where the German lads will have that and the support of their own backyard. Yeah. So that would be a nightmare tie for England.
Well, the German pair have played together before. It's their crowd. They played on this stage before. Everything is going in their corner. If England do play Germany, it'll be a nightmare for Chizzy and Rob Cross. Be interesting to see what their chemistry is like. They're very similar characters, Rob and Chizzy. They like to have a bit of a laugh. They like to get focused just beforehand. I don't think they'll put too much pressure on themselves, which is one of the best things about them. But we can't forget about the Chinese either, because we do have a team with one man and one woman. It'll be very interesting to see how Momo Zhu does. I think she's great. Obviously, Anastasia has played in the World Cup before, and she did herself loads of favours. She played brilliantly, and it'll be interesting to see how Momo gets on.
I think she's there on merit as well. She came through the qualifying system and beat everyone else.
Yeah, so even better. It's the best way to do things. Don't invite people into teams. Make them work for it. She has earned her place there, and the Chinese mentality is to just get up there. It's not. They're not part of the whole Hollywood darts scene yet, you know, or the celebrations and the loud hair in the trousers like Peter Wright does. But they'll get up there, they'll do their best, and they will be graceful. And I think it's great to have something different. And when Momo takes that stage, I hope she gets a lot of respect. Again,
the top seeds will be hoping Singapore don't get to round 2 because no one wants to play Paul Lim in the singles.
Nobody wants to play Paul Lim at the minute. He got to the final of the world stage in Las Vegas this past weekend. It just goes to show whether you're playing soft tip darts or steel tip darts, he's in good form, he's got loads of confidence, and when he's playing with Harith, who is a very good player in his own right, they're a dangerous team. We don't just have to talk about them playing previously and beating Scotland. They're just a great team together and they gel. So another nightmare floater.
So going on to the latter stages, do you see anyone beating the Dutch pair?
No, I really don't. And a lot of people watching this will probably think, well, that answer was very quick. But the way that Van Gerwen's playing and the way that Raymond backs him up, when they put that shirt on, they're just better than everybody else, unfortunately. And if someone is going to stop them, they're going to have the week of their life.
Interesting you should say that, because the bookies will be praying that someone stops them, because all the smart money will be on them. They're just going to be odds on, I think, as well. So.
Yeah, they will be. I mean, you mentioned that they're third seed. That won't bother them.
No.
You know, Van Gerwen's world number 1. Raymond van Barneveld has got more experience in his little toenail than most players in the tournament. And they have this aura about them. They have this aura of domination. They've won it before. So they will want to keep a hold of that trophy. And no matter what mood Raymond's in, Michael will drag him into battle and he will be ready.
No, definitely. Well, guys, that's our World Cup preview. Thanks for joining us, Paul. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Phil.